I think all of us as Collingwood fans would like to be a fly on the wall inside of Craig McRae's mind right now with not selecting Ed Allan, bringing in Lockie Sullivan. What is the thought process there? I would love Fly to have a press conference today just to figure out where his head's at with all of that. And I'm sure we'll probably find out in one way or another over the next coming days. But if we had to take a stab in the dark, which is what we're going to do right now, looking at Ed Allan's game, some video analysis, and then, generating some conversation from there, that's what we'll do. So in order to do that, we need to throw back to late last year. Ed Allan had found some great form in the VFL as an inside mid, and then he comes into the final game against Melbourne, who were essentially witches' hats on that night. But he played really well. He was very effective. He was involved in a lot of scoring shots. He was competitive in the contest, and his pressure was elite. So that led to a great deal of preseason hype, or off-season hype, I would say. I think as we realised Harry Perriman was going to play a strong deal or a strong part in the midfield, I think the expectation and the hype for Ed Allan simmered throughout the preseason. And maybe that's to do with the fact that while we were at training, Ed Allan didn't blow us away just because he doesn't really have like that X factor where he really catches your attention. Obviously, he's a bit of a unicorn in the midfield as a big-bodied 6'4" player who will grow into his size eventually, but he doesn't have that burst out of the contest or that really piercing kick that others do that catch your eye at training. So that's probably the difference, and that's why it probably simmered down. And I probably prefer that for someone like Ed Allan. We look at what we had with Finlay McRae last preseason. We blew his tyres up, and then they quickly deflated before the season even started. He didn't make it to round one or opening round. That's another conversation, right? So the observations I made in preseason with Ed and preseason games and even up into the GWS game is his kicking ability is not there right now. It looks like he doesn't have power in his legs to drive the ball. In the game against GWS, he only had 5 kicks, maybe even less, and all of them were floaters. His shot on goal was a floater. It veered off to the wayside. His goal assist to Jamie Elliott with him running out of that centre bounce clearance was a shank. The ball came off the side of his boot. I saw that against Richmond. I've seen that at training. So in my mind, I asked myself, well, why is Fly dropping our youngest player after one game? Where in the first half, a lot of his involvement were by way of handball sequences, and he was really quick in the stoppage to dish out the right hand pass. And most of the time, I'd say 95% of his handballs were in the positive direction. It launched play for Collingwood. He didn't make a great deal of mistakes, I thought. So maybe the fact that he isn't using his burst of speed. He actually was touted to be quite fast when looking at his draft combine. His speed numbers were quite good, but we're not seeing that right now in the power domain. We're not seeing the kicking efficiency that maybe he needs to have to be an inside mid. So Fly says, well, mate, we can't play in your wing because you can't kick, and inside mid, we can't have you there because you don't have that burst out of the contest that we need to balance the speed, to compromise for the lack of speed we have in other players. Like Perriman's he's not slow, he's not Pendlebury slow, but he's definitely not Nick Dacos fast, right? So there's just finding that right balance between the faster and the slower players in the midfield. So, and you're not going to drop Pendlebury, at least not after one game. So there's parts of arguments to that. Only having one tackle as an inside mid as one of the younger players on the field that day against GWS does not help your case. What else have I got here? I mean, he got caught after that nice ground ball get in D50 where He picked it up as he went to hand pass it, taking on the tackler. He turned it over. It resulted in a direct goal. It's hard to criticise him for that because it was a fumble by Jack Crisp in front of him, and then he picked up his scraps and then tried to take on the game. You don't mind that. You want that from your younger players. But he also ran the game out quite well relative to the rest of our midfielders. Late in the fourth quarter, he's the one still running and tracking his opposition. So, yeah, I don't know. Do I have an opinion on this? I don't know. I'm sort of just trying to lay out the observations, and I want you guys to let me know in the comment section. What is the alternative? Well, the alternative was forced. Ned Long came on and impressed again as a sub. He's a bit more of a bulldozer. He's big-bodied. He has speed. Maybe he's in for the Jason Horne-Francis matchup. And somebody had to give way, and unfortunately, it's Ed Allan in the midfield. So while it's unfortunate for Ed Allan, it's a massive chance for Ned Long to solidify his spot in the midfield, to be that really rugged, accountable, hard-running, two-way midfielder in Ned Long. And he has a great assignment on Saturday, if that's the case, against Jason Horne-Francis. I foresee Ned Long starting the game. I think Lockie Sullivan comes on as a sub to inject speed and ground ball competition. He's not the fastest player going around, but he has a great engine, and being as short as Lockie Sullivan is, he's going to be competitive in the contest at ground ball level. Against the side in Port Adelaide that was just as bad as Collingwood with ground ball gets last season. Both sides in the bottom four for that stat category, which is very, very important, especially against teams like Hawthorn and these younger players that are just unbelievable in the contest at ground level. So that's my 2 cents there. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Is it a right call? Is it the wrong call? Is it let's wait and see? Go Pies.